Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for calling this hearing. Mr. Isaacson, if I could just start with you. In March of 2024, you wrote, "The murder of a nursing student in Georgia has a lot of people on the right talking about migrant crime like it's an actual issue." That'd be Laken Riley you were talking about?
Laken Riley was an unusual case.
Yeah, here, let's have a look. Here's Laken Riley.
Yes.
Her murder, her horrific murder at the hands of this illegal migrant who was also unlawfully paroled in the United States. Her death, not an actual issue?
It's a tragedy.
But not an actual issue?
Migrant crime is much less of an issue than U.S. citizen committed crime.
Not an actual issue? Those are your words. Her death, not an actual issue. I just want to get, no, you say.
Of course it's an issue. It's a tragedy.
So what do you mean by your
murder is an
post?
issue.
It's not an actual issue, meaning we shouldn't be paying attention to it. Senate's wasting its time this week on the Laken Riley Act that would address the circumstances of her murder. What's your advice to us? We just discontinue those proceedings now?
What's up, patriots? Welcome back to the channel where we fight for truth, justice, and the American way. Today, we need to talk about something that the mainstream media refuses to cover honestly: migrant crime, and Senator Josh Hawley absolutely obliterating the left's narrative during a recent Senate hearing. This is about the safety of our families, the rule of law, and holding our leaders accountable for the chaos they're allowing into this country. If you're tired of hearing the same old excuses for why our borders are wide open and why violent criminals are treated with kid gloves, then you're in the right place. Buckle up, because this is going to get real.
I think the Laken Riley Act could do a lot of harm. It would allow me to say, oh, this person shoplifted, and that would be enough probable cause to get somebody deported.
Interesting. You're here, who invited you to this committee hearing today, Mr. Isaacson?
The minority party.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're here as a spokesman for the minority party. I just want to make sure the record's clear on this. The spokesman for the minority party is advising the Senate that the Laken Riley Act is a bad idea and we ought to stop it. The spokesman for the minority party is saying that Laken Riley's death and migrant crime is not an actual issue. I can't frankly believe that I am hearing these words. You said it's not an actual issue. I read you the quote.
Laken Riley's death was not an actual issue.
You said that the murder of a nursing student in Georgia has a lot of people on the right talking about migrant crime. You put it in quotation marks, square quotes, like it's an actual issue. She's dead because of migrant crime, right? Let's try something else. Here, do you know who this is? Do you know who this young man is?
I do not.
Travis Wolf, 12 years old, from my state, murdered by an illegal migrant who was also, like Jose Ibarra, illegally paroled by the last administration.
Is your expectation that zero migrants?
Let me tell you what my expectation is that those who commit crimes in this country will be appropriately dealt with. Absolutely. And that we should not be allowing migrants who commit crimes into this country, and that, yes, migrant crime that kills people like Travis Wolf, whose death was shocking, whose death is inexplicable, indefensible. I actually do think, yes, I think it's an actual, wait a minute, it's my time, Mr. Isaacson. I actually think, and I want the record to be clear on this, that migrant crime is a real issue. I think the Laken Riley Act is absolutely necessary. In fact, I propose an amendment to the Laken Riley Act that will cover people like Travis Wolf. I think that ICE ought to be required to detain those illegal migrants who commit violent crimes against children, like Travis Wolf. And yes, I happen to think, as a former prosecutor, I happen to think that their violent murders are actual issues. And the fact that you would say otherwise, sit here and advise the Senate that the Laken Riley Act is a bad idea, that the whole thing is not an actual issue, it's all what, made up, I think is outrageous. I think it's absolutely outrageous. And the fact that you were invited here to give this testimony is stunning to me, I have to say. Absolutely stunning to me. Mr. Cuccinelli, let me just ask you, something else that Mr. Isaacson has said is that the Remain in Mexico policy was a program of death. A program of death. Is that your experience, having seen it implemented? A program of death?
As part of implementing it, my answer would be no. It was quite the opposite. And as I said in my statement, that the deterrent effect for illegal aliens to come that was gained by the migrant protection protocols, Remain in Mexico program, prevented a lot more abuse, child abuse, abuse of women on the journey, and death along the way than any of the crimes that occurred addressed to the people where the people in Remain in Mexico were the victims. So anytime we have illegal immigration going on, we have victimization of that population. It would be my view, and I think the dollars play it out, especially as you've seen since 2019, that the idea that the cartels benefited from the Remain in Mexico program is relatively ludicrous compared to the alternative. And the alternative we've lived with the last 4 years has been the greatest enriching of the most evil, vicious people in the Western Hemisphere in the history of this hemisphere.
Yeah, I wish the Remain in Mexico program had still been in effect. When the killer of Travis Wolff crossed the border and was paroled illegally into the country, he might still be alive today. And if that's not an actual issue, I don't know what is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, here's what went down. Senator Josh Hawley confronted Adam Isaacson, a so-called expert brought in by the Democrats to testify against the Laken Riley Act. Now, what is the Laken Riley Act? It's a piece of legislation aimed at making sure that illegal migrants who commit crimes, violent crimes, are deported immediately. You'd think this would be common sense, right? I mean, who in their right mind would want violent criminals roaming our streets? But no, the Democrats and their witnesses think this is too harsh. Let me repeat that Democrats are actively working against a bill that would protect American citizens from criminal illegal aliens. And Adam Isaacson, their star witness, had the audacity to claim that migrant crime is not an actual issue. Let's take a look at Isaacson's own words. Back in March, he wrote, and I quote, "The murder of a nursing student in Georgia has a lot of people on the right talking about migrant crime like it's an actual issue." Are you kidding me? Laken Riley, a young nursing student, was brutally murdered by an illegal migrant who shouldn't have been in this country in the first place. And this guy thinks her death isn't an actual issue? This is the kind of cold, heartless rhetoric we're up against, folks. These people care more about protecting illegal migrants than protecting American lives. Let me make one thing crystal clear. Every American life matters. Laken Riley's life mattered. And when someone loses their life because our government failed to enforce the law, that is absolutely an issue. Now, Senator Hawley didn't let Isaacson off the hook. He called him out directly, reading his own words back to him, and exposing just how out of touch he is. Hawley brought up another tragic case, 12-year-old Travis Wolff, a young boy from Missouri who was murdered by an illegal migrant. Just like Riley's killer, this criminal was paroled into the United States thanks to weak border policies. Travis Wolff should be alive today, but because of the Biden administration's negligence, he's not. And you know what Isaacson's response was? He doubled down. He argued that the Laken Riley Act could do a lot of harm because it might allow someone to be deported for something as minor as shoplifting. Are you kidding me? First of all, shoplifting isn't minor, it's a crime. Second, why are we bending over backward to protect people who aren't even supposed to be here? Our laws exist for a reason, and if you break them, you should face the consequences. It's that simple. Then there's the whole debate about the Remain in Mexico policy. Isaacson called it a program of death. Seriously? A program designed to keep illegal migrants in Mexico while their asylum claims are processed is a program of death? What planet is this guy living on? Thankfully, another witness, Ken Cuccinelli, set the record straight. He explained how the Remain in Mexico policy actually saved lives by deterring illegal immigration and preventing abuse and exploitation along the journey. Cuccinelli even pointed out how the alternative, what we've seen under Biden, has been a goldmine for the cartels. And he's absolutely right. The open border policies of this administration have made the cartels richer and more powerful than ever before. Meanwhile, innocent Americans like Travis Wolff and Laken Riley are paying the ultimate price. Look, this isn't just about politics. This is about the safety and security of our nation. What kind of country are we if we can't even protect our own citizens? The Democrats can try to spin this all they want, but the facts are clear. Open borders and weak immigration enforcement are killing people. And instead of fixing the problem, they're bringing in people like Isaacson to tell us it's not an actual issue. Well, I've got news for you, Mr. Isaacson. It is an issue. It's an issue for the families who've lost loved ones. It's an issue for the communities living in fear. And it's an issue for every single patriot who believes in the rule of law. Senator Hawley is 100% right to call this out, and we need more leaders like him who aren't afraid to tell the truth. So, what can we do about it? First, we need to support leaders like Josh Hawley who are fighting to secure our borders and protect American lives. Second, we need to hold the Democrats accountable for their reckless policies. And third, we need to speak up. Share this video, talk to your friends and family, and let them know what's really going on. The media won't tell the truth, so it's up to us. And if you agree that every American life matters, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think migrant crime is not an actual issue, or do you stand with Senator Hawley and me in saying enough is enough? Let's have that conversation. Thank you for watching, Patriots. Stay strong, stay vigilant, and never stop fighting for this great country. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.